Diaspora Connect on AAU TV. AAU TV is the voice of higher education in Africa. And the program Diaspora Connect is showcasing what Africans in the diaspora are giving back to Africa. Specifically, we are focusing on the academics who are giving and strengthening institutions of higher education in Africa. Welcome back from the break, and this is Diaspora Connect on AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa. I'm going to introduce straight away my guest for today, and he's no other person but a professor from Morgan State University who has been here in Accra before, and this is his second visit in 3 years. I don't know why he keeps coming to Accra, but there is a reason why he's doing it. He's no other person but Professor Musazi. Prof, welcome to Accra, welcome to AAU.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for hosting me.
Okay. You were once here in 2019.
Sure.
Invited by the UPSA under the Carnegie African Diaspora Fellowship Program.
Sure.
So what brings you here the second time?
Oh, first of all, I enjoyed Accra.
Oh, great.
Yes. Looks like a Kampala. So yeah, but seriously, I'm coming back because what I was doing at that time needed some follow-up. And COVID came in 2020, we call it, but it's now going down, as you know. So I'm following up on what was left undone.
Okay, but can you give us what you came to do the first time you came to Ghana?
Oh, last time I came to do were three things. In collaboration with our colleagues at the UPSA, University of Professional Studies in Accra, we were working on PhD curriculum. There are some accounting PhD proposals in progress. We're working on research on AGOA, the African Growth Opportunities Act. Actually, for that one, we finished. We're going to do a sequel on that one. And also, there's another project that was to involve some sort of accounting practice. Okay. And that one we did not touch on, so we coming back to restart it. Yes.
Right. You said you came to enrich the PhD curriculum. So what was in existence then, and what difference have you come to, add to what we have here in Ghana?
Review what is already going on in practice into the accreditation. Okay. Make some suggestions here and there. Okay. And that's it.
But is our curriculum very theoretical?
Yeah, it's very theoretical, but we, as time goes on, my personal view, and this is what I'm trying to push the next few years, is for us to make our curriculum, both PhD and undergraduate, less traditional. Okay. Yes, because our economies, as you know, are very, very informal. The formal sectors are contributing somewhere between 50 to 40% to the GDP, and the other informal sector is contributing probably equally about 40 to 60% of GDP, depending on which country you are in. So, but we tend, there's some unfairness that comes from that. Okay. And one of which is the tax revenues. Most of the taxes paid, if you look at the Ghana Revenue Authority website, they are saying that almost 70% of their taxes come from the large taxpayers, who tend to be the formal sector. Yeah. And yet they're not actually 70% of the economy.
Well, we will come to that aspect, but let's look at what pertained at your host university. How receptive were they when you tried to introduce innovation in the curriculum?
Very, very receptive. This is a professional studies university, so they combine practice with academics.
Okay.
So it's a very good ground for what I'm doing in the US, because in the US I do accounting practice as well as teaching. I'm an academic, but that's what I love about accounting. You can teach and do, but I'm 80-90% an academic, but I do some little practice to keep myself enlightened on what's going on in practice.
Okay.
And that's what I want to import here and the other African universities that will be receptive to this.
And is your host university as a UPSC working in collaboration with other universities so that the curriculum is not only for the UPSC, but then others are going to benefit from the innovations we are introducing?
You mean the universities in Ghana?
Or elsewhere in Africa?
No, not to my knowledge, but for the School of Business, I know I am not aware of any, but probably other departments are. But within the School of Business and Accounting, I'm not aware of any other university. Yes.
And has it gone through the accreditation process?
No, not yet. It's in progress, but that's why I cannot talk about the details. But I think it will go through. Yeah.
And in the process of developing the curriculum, how did the other lecturers get on board? You know, normally when somebody is from abroad and the person comes, you know, the person is looked at kind of as an opponent, more or less, that's coming to take over things that we have been doing. How receptive have been your contemporaries in the African university?
They have been very welcome. What we have said is true only if you are taking position, you are taking the here. But I'm not. I'm not taking any particular position at the university. I'm just an external person taking a look at what they're doing, and then they give feedback on this and this. If they like it, they take it. If they don't, they throw it out. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking on 5 years from now, where do you think your enriched curriculum will take UPSC?
What I'm pushing for, and if it's welcome, is to see how the universities can start working on this informal sector. It's a big chunk of the economy, but it's left out, both in, as I said, in taxes, in academics. Okay, in academics, we are also dealing with the formal sector.
Yes.
And yet we are supposed to tackle everything.
So why is there the link between the informal sector and academia?
Where?
Why? Because universities are there to serve society. Yes, and the informal sector is the bigger subsector. So why is there always the link? We always talk about university industry linkages, but then we look out for the high-tech industry and leave out the informal sector that contributes over 70% to GDP.
Yes, and that's the problem I'm saying we have to address. And as I said, in the next 5-10 years, I'm going to see that push it out there. And we work on the informal sector. It's a good question. Because the universities are byproducts of the formal sector, most of us adopted the colonial curriculum. We are teaching textbook stuff, which is geared towards the formal sector. And it's working for the formal sector.
Right.
I have no problem with that. But it's leaving out a big chunk of the problem.
Yes.
Okay.
So why is the curriculum that you came to enrich not targeting the first degree and second degree, but you're looking at only the PhDs?
No. I'm looking at the undergraduate as well.
You're also looking at the undergraduate.
Remember the project I said we did not complete last time?
Yes.
We're working on something now. I cannot go into the details. I'll let the administrators do that when it has gone through the protocols. And but what we are trying to say is, why do we have here a large informal sector? And they have money, by the way, a lot of money, you know that. Yes. And we have our graduates unemployed or looking, pursuing for jobs in the formal sector, which are not there. Okay?
Yeah.
So we have to do something here.
And that is the universities.
Yeah, we are not looking at the formal sector as part of the problem, and we universities, we can address.
Is it not a situation where even if the gown goes to town, the focus will still be on the high-tech industry and leaving out the informal sector?
Yes, and it's the universities and policymakers to address that problem. Yes, and I think the World Bank and other funders have somehow probably unintentionally added to the problem by funding what this informal sector would be funding. Because I personally believe, I don't have any data yet, but if we were to raise taxes or tax revenues from the informal sector, we would make up for the money that we get from the World Bank and other later, yes.
And what is dissuading the informal sector from, paying taxes, in your estimation?
The research have come out, and there's this study that the World Bank sponsored in Ethiopia, where they interviewed people asking them, the informal sector, what's the biggest and second biggest disadvantage of registering for taxes, for instance. And 34% say higher tax rates.
Higher tax rate?
Yeah, tax burden. Once you become formal, you're going to pay taxes.
So they rather want to remain informal?
Correct.
Yeah,
yes, and but the price they are paying for being informal, the economic price they are paying, is far greater than the taxes you would have paid.
Yeah, they are dodging.
Yes, yes. I've seen this in Uganda. Our systems, especially the tax system, the way they are designed now, is they do penalize you for being formal. Yes. And it's up to us, the academics, who have this such data, to let the legislators know there's a problem here. Yeah, you were penalized for registering a company. For instance, I've gone through this personally. I registered a company in Uganda, got a tax ID, and they sent me a bill for not filing my taxes. And these taxes accumulate.
So people would rather, go to the informal sector and be lost in the system.
That's correct. And we are paying a high price. It's not that something cannot be, it can be done, but there's no one who's doing systematic research and advising policy makers.
But that is the role of universities.
That's why I'm coming in. We are so much entrenched into the legacy education style system. We are product of that system. And for some of my colleagues, it's hard to think outside the box.
Africa has been independent for so long.
Not in mind.
Not in mind.
Yes. It's people who call them contrarians, who think differently, who may move us to another level, but they face resistance.
So what should universities do?
There's resistance there, but we have to keep moving on. There's a lot of research. Let me give you an example. I was reading a paper, I don't remember the publication, about 2 years ago. This research in Ethiopia, which is I think the case here.
Which year was that?
2014.
2014.
Yeah,
Okay.
these guys in the informal sector are saying that once we become formal, we're going to be hit with taxes. And that's why we're informal. And you can see, and I'm sure if this study is repeated in Ghana here, it's going to be the same thing. They did it in Brazil for the same thing. And then, you know what Brazil did? They lowered the marginal tax rates for small businesses.
And it encouraged
the informality decreased.
But if the informal sector moves to the formal sector, what are the advantages that they will benefit?
Oh, there's a lot of benefits you get by being formal. One of them is credit.
Okay.
Banks are going to look through as formal and therefore more bankable. So they miss a lot on credit. They're going to miss on legal protections. You see? There are some policies that are easily channeled through the tax system.
Right.
And they rely on the tax infrastructure to channel those policy tools. We tend to think that the tax infrastructure is only for collecting taxes.
No.
But let me give you an example. There's a lot of money in the US was giving out for COVID, for businesses. And I tried to help some of my clients. And guess who didn't get the money?
The informal sector.
Yeah.
But what if they form cooperatives? You know, they come together like association of farmers or fishermen, or
those are formal.
They are still formal.
Yes, but a cooperative just helps you to build a critical mass to do something, maybe reach a market size or process something you will not be able to process by yourself. That's what a cooperative is about.
Okay. Right.
Yes, but being formal, you pay high price. They were asking people, where are your taxes for the last 2 years? How do we know you're in business?
Yes. Yeah, I get it.
You get it.
The universities have a burden. So will you recommend then that when students go on internship, it should not necessarily be in established institutions, but they should go to the informal sector?
They should go to the informal sector, but the university, we have a burden to reach out to the informal sector. These are hard-working people, but they need to be educated.
By the universities?
Informally, yes.
The universities may sometimes like to preserve their status quo.
Exactly, the hollowed
Yes.
rooms, right?
Yes.
Well, yes, those should be there. What I'm saying is there is not substitute that. It's just an addition to that. We are not addressing our community problems.
Yeah, we're not.
No.
So the 10th core mandate is lost.
It's lost.
Yeah, so we do the teaching and research, and then we leave the community engagement.
It's so superficial and circles like that. Yes.
Okay, we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll look at trade in Africa. Welcome back from the short break. I've been talking to Professor Musazi from Morgan State University. He's a professor of accounting, and we're talking about taxation and trade. He came to the UPSA in Accra, Ghana, to help enrich their curriculum. And we've spoken a lot about curriculum in the informal sector and how the informal sector is trying to dodge taxation, but they don't know that it inures to their disadvantage. Now we are moving the discussion to the African Continental Free Trade Area. Prof, Africa, we want to follow the North African Free Trade Agreement, the NAFTA. NAFTA, I think, came into being in 1994. And after 21 years, Africa in 2021 we also have the African Continental Free Trade Area. And according to records, it has the largest network of countries. How do you see the African Continental Free Trade Area? Is it something that is utopian, or is something that is too ambitious, or something that is doable?
It's doable, and the good thing with it is that there are already existing regional trade areas, about 7 already, and also there are other regional intercontinental groups like the Asians, the Americans. So I think we've been behind already.
Yes, we may be behind, but even like you spoke about the regional blocks. For instance, in West Africa, we have the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. And we're trying to get a common currency, which is taking so long. So how do you then migrate into the continental kind of agreement where now they say that trade or tariffs will take about 90% of tariffs? Is it practical?
90% of the goods.
Yes.
Yes.
Of tariffs on goods.
Oh, yes. It is. But for us, these things take years to take ground. So the earlier we start, the better. I don't think it's our generation that's going to benefit so much from this African free trade thing. It will take probably another 5 years just to build the infrastructure, the administrative rule, the legal, and all that stuff. Take an example, people who started the EU. It took years to become what it is now.
Okay.
So it's good.
But why are we not leapfrogging? Because if we have known their challenges, we have the NAFTA, we know what happens at NAFTA, we know what happens at EU. Why don't we just jump the troubles and come together with a bang? Do we still have to go through the various challenges, building infrastructure when we have this focus? Are we serious as a continent?
Those challenges are good because they help you to build a strong system. Yeah, it's like going through a business without facing challenges. When things go bad, you're going to go fast down. So those challenges are learning tools.
But challenges that have existed elsewhere, can't we learn from that?
Yeah, we learn from those, and then where possible, we avoid them. Okay,
now let's look at how universities can help implement the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Again, most of the trade, like in other areas of the country, is done by SMEs, small, medium enterprises, and we need to increase the number of these ones. And these guys in the informal sector are the ones who normally become the SMEs. But we need to help them to move on to the next level. Yeah. So again, to go back to the universities engaging, especially the schools of businesses.
This is Herculean. Because even if curricula of schools of businesses don't engage the informal sector, how can that cascade to the global picture?
The universities cannot do it by themselves. We need other agents and other social structures, like especially the Parliament Acts. We need some enabling legislations. I think it's Brazil, or I forgot one country, where it's required by law for each business to have an accountant.
I see it also in Ghana.
Is it?
Before you register a business, there should be an accountant.
Do they have them?
Superficially, they have.
Okay. Is it working?
It doesn't work.
So we need to find the research. Why isn't it working?
It's because we don't have the accountants.
Wait a minute.
We don't.
We have 4,000 accounting students there. Do they have all jobs?
Yes, but it's not going through the accounting, course makes you an accountant.
It's not going through what?
Through a program. It doesn't really make you an accountant, does it?
That's what we need to address. Why? Why doesn't it do that? What do the GSA, General Service, students, how do you call them? After you graduate, you do 1 year.
1 year as a national service.
National service.
Yes.
accounting students required to do something specific in that?
Well, it depends on where you are posted. You may not necessarily train in your area of specialization.
Okay.
Yes, you may be posted even to a school to teach.
Okay.
And then you see that your role is quite different from what you learned.
Okay.
But maybe I think we need to do a tracer to find out the needs
Yes.
of Africa. And this is what universities should be doing. And why
That's
are they
what-
not doing it?
That's what I'm trying to push.
Yes, but you are just a drop in the ocean. You are one person.
Well, at least someone has to start it.
And you think it is something that can be achieved in your lifetime? You are pushing from one institution.
Especially if we have enabling legislation. Like students after they graduate, you just say that why can't a student having gone through an accounting program, cannot become an accountant for small business? And it's true. Why? Why can't we do that?
Most of them learn it by theory.
Yes. So what can we do to the curriculum to preempt that?
In essence, it's a tall order. And after may not realize his goals. You agree with me?
Mm-hmm.
So what should we do? We in academia, we are doing our best. We are pushing. So we push to the policymakers. Can we bypass policy?
We cannot.
We cannot.
Because we cannot enforce some things. We need some sort of enforcement.
The Africans in the diaspora, do they have a voice in Africa?
No.
Collectively?
No.
They don't.
Collectively? No. Because on what forum? They may have a voice in their respective countries because they are contributing to foreign inflows, remittances, but not at least on a continental level.
The challenge, is it corruption?
Corruption causing what?
Why things are not moving in Africa? I'm asking from the perspective of you people from outside. Why is policy not moving into implementation in Africa?
I said it earlier. It is moving, but we're only dealing with a small part of the economy, the formal sector. It's like you having this room as your country, but you're only cleaning this part. The other part of the room, nobody cares about, and yet it's the biggest part of it.
So will you encourage, instead of intra-country collaboration, you would want intercontinental collaboration? So Africa collaborates more with the EU or with the US than within Africa, since we are not pushing to make things work on the ground.
We have to collaborate with the EU or America for things that we need them. It's like a partnership.
Right.
We can't get it here, we can work a partnership out and get them. And our intracontinental collaboration, again, will be the same thing. If Nigeria has something Ghana needs and Ghana have something Nigeria doesn't need, then we can do some collaboration. That's what partnerships are about, but it shouldn't be done just for the sake of collaboration. Because
Nigeria even didn't want to ratify the after, because they said it will kill entrepreneurship in Nigeria. But then look at America. They brought AGWA, and AGWA is helping Africa-US trade, even though now it's taking a dip. Looking at it, in 2025, AGWA may be renewed. Do you think it will follow the same structure and process? Or you think maybe because Africa wants to trade among themselves, AGWA may take a dip as well?
Actually, one of my research projects under Carnegie is I'm going to continue with this in Makerere after here.
Okay.
Makerere, Uganda. We are going to look at the effectiveness of AGWA.
Okay.
Before it's, there's some literature out there, but some research out there, but it's kind of mixed. Some people are saying it has worked, others it has not worked. But it's working for some areas and at least anecdotally, and some few countries.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a geographical disadvantage with the United States of America, so that our competitive advantages cannot be easily used there compared to the Latin American countries.
Right.
So we just have to look, especially when it comes to tangible commodities. And so we have to resort to some intangible trade thing. Yeah, things like education, R&D, those intangible things. But geographically, we are not well located compared to, say, our location with Europe. Yes, okay. And Asia.
Finally.
But let me go back to the other question, whether this trade within Africa will work.
Yes.
It will work, but we have to formalize most of our businesses.
Which we are trying to do.
Yes.
But the pace is slow.
Correct.
And we in the education sector, are we seen as a panacea, really, in helping push Africa towards the Agenda 2063?
Yeah, more solutions come from the academia, but it's up to the legislatures to execute.
And if they don't?
They die. I published some work, and I was surprised that some of my research was used in U.S. Congress.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Your research work used in U.S. Congress?
Yeah, I can pull up some tax laws where they quoted my name.
But we shelve our research works.
They do what?
We shelve. In Africa, our scholarly works are not so known.
No, it's known. It's just that people in Parliament don't use it.
You sure it's known? We contribute about 3.4% to the general research in the world. Anyway.
Okay. Because I went there and pulled some tax compliance in Ghana, and I've seen some good research. You guys publish a lot in just tax compliance in Ghana, and it suggests solutions. Yeah, you have good academics here, and but these solutions, these guys in Parliament are not used to reading academic journals.
No, but they are not there as academics.
Where?
So if we don't form kind of a pressure group to them.
It's not a pressure group, it's up to each academic in his or her area to work with the legislatures to see that their research findings are at least considered when there is policy implementation. People who come to recommend policy here come from Europe, World Bank, and probably don't even utilize our local research here.
Yeah, because we don't listen to ourselves. We listen more to the outsiders than from within.
That's the problem. So we have, the academia is there, but it will not work in isolation.
Let the diaspora step in. So what can you do as the diasporans?
You guys count so much on the diaspora.
Yes, we do.
No, please.
Because we listen to the voice from outside.
The diasporian, you mean the one in the academia? Or
the diasporan. Those in academia, because others just bring the money. The
That's funding. What I was going to say.
So those in academia who have the know-how, the skills, the knowledge, what can you do to help push policymakers in Africa?
We would like to be invited on research committees to testify in Parliament.
But you are not networked enough.
It depends on how the Parliament works. How do they research? How do they reach out to local experts?
The African Union has made the diaspora the 6th region, and so you need to come together in all the various disciplines and push. Because I
think the African Union should push the local parliaments to utilize the existing research in policy making.
That is going to be like passing the camel through the eye of a needle.
It's up to you guys to push it. The research is there. These guys here in Ghana, in Makerere, in Kenya, wherever, they are doing research, but does it end up in policy?
If research is funded by an outside institution, it never goes beyond the borders of the university. because you do research for, not for the country to solve societal need, but for the donor.
Yeah, because that's one of the things I'm contributing to the curriculum. Let's get these things we find into policy, because that's what we can do, and then it will work out.
Well, Professor Musazi says academia should work with policymakers.
Correct.
This is where we end a very insightful discussion on Diaspora Connect on AAU TV. Tune in to other programs on AAU TV. Prof, thank you very much for passing by, and we wish you a safe journey back to the United States. But then we shall continue the dialoguing via virtual interviews. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for hosting me.